Hi! Our film begins and we learn that there is a very large and evil empire called the Mother World that has invaded the entire world and taken control of it. We say their leader, Pihas, who seized power after he got rid of the entire royal family. We learn that they send soldiers to all the planets with their weapons in order to control the rebels who are present everywhere, and we will return to how much a week later, Laura, and we see Commander Ido's going down to the planet belt and telling the farmers there that they are going to collect all the grains that they collected and hand them over to his soldiers, and they have a period of 10 weeks to do this, and he threatens them that if they do not do what he wants, he will finish them all, and he does not care about anyone at all, and both her and her husband are very afraid of what will happen. Bee and Bev are with their friend, which means that they travel and gather some strong warriors to stand in front of the soldiers and prevent them from taking their crops. Their way, they meet a man named Atakos, and they fight together, and Abal is able to get rid of him, but it is their bad luck that the Empire is able to return Atakos as he was better and better than before. He keeps repeating that he is taking revenge for what they did to him, and then Abal returns and escapes to their village with a group of warriors, and they also bring a robot named Jimmy, and we know that he belongs to the Empire in the first place, and he keeps watching them from afar, and I have all the information collected by the soldier named Ares. After that, Ares communicates with Atakis and talks. Everything that happens is exactly the same, and then he goes and stays among his friends. It is completely normal, and we know that he understands then that he was a soldier before that and left the army for a while and decided to continue his life in peace among them. At the same time, Ares betrays him, and they do not realize that he knew that the Empire would arrive within 5 days, and collect Titus tells the villagers and the team to talk to them about what is happening, and tells them that he came up with an idea so that the soldiers do not take the grains from them in good health and are able to preserve their food. He tells them that the soldiers will not be able to burn the village because they will also burn the grains with them, knowing that it is very important to them. She then inspects that they train all the people of the village to fight so that they can defend themselves in front of the soldiers. After that, Korra stays with Gunnar alone like this, and is very wary of each other because they were finally able to meet each other at any time and talk to each other. We know at that time that Korra remains Paria's adopted daughter, and she was also working in the Empire. Her strength was a great soldier, and everyone respected her. They also made her the personal guard of the prince. One day, the king decided that he would rest for a while from the war and use a new method that included more peace and calm. This means that he might be able to control the situation. Of course, Belarus did not like the situation because then he and his army would not have any trouble and no one would be afraid of them. Secondly, I agree with all the officials that they are devising a plan to eliminate the king and take control of the government, and everything will go back to how it was, and her father also agreed with them, and Korra was forced to listen to her father's words, and she finished with all the king's guards, and the turn comes for the little princess, and Korra is very upset with her, and she no longer wants to kill her, and she is desperate because the princess started saying to her in a loud voice, "I forgive you," and Belarus prefers to call her loudly and orders her to kill the princess, and in the end, a ball of fire hits her and she dies in front of her eyes. And so Belarus takes advantage of the opportunity and throws all the charges at the ball, and he dresses up tonight and says that she killed the entire royal family, and the guards see that they are imprisoning him, and she feels that she is at that moment with remorse, and that they laughed at her. She started to get rid of all her colleagues and continued to shoot them with fire and quickly escape until she reached this place and changed her name and started a new life with them. Since then, she has been working on the farm and has never left it, and showed everyone around her that her family died in the war and that she was an ordinary girl, nothing more, and I hid the truth from everyone, and we will come back again. and we will see him coming back to life because he wants the doctors to take him out because he cannot bear to sit all this in the hospital, and out of his anger he kills the doctor in front of him, and in the end, they agree to take him out, and he refuses to hide the traces of the wound he has so he can stay safe all the time. He remembers what happened to him and avenges himself. He thinks about his crime and what I did to him, and he prepares to leave the hospital. We see that all the people of the village are preparing for war, and he wakes up every day for 5 days from early on so that they can train with the warriors to fight, and they also take care of their land and pamper all their crops. The grains they have are for flour to be used in food. The warriors become attached to the children in the village and are very close to each other. Titus is concerned every time that he drinks a lot of water so that he does not fall back into another addiction like in the past. Adus talks to his commander and tells him what is happening in the village and tells him all the news and explains. He tells him that it is the harvest season and everyone is busy collecting grains and hiding from him everything that they are planning, and Atakos feels that he is lying, and he knows that Cora is the one behind all this, and she is the one who made him lie to them, and the villagers finish all their harvest, and they all gather together to celebrate the achievement they have made, and it is distributed. Heh gave all the warriors gifts so that they would agree, meaning they would help them and stand beside them, and they would stay up all night, dancing and singing, and would have a great time, and Titus would sing such a beautiful song, and they would all listen quietly and see very loudly, and the next day in the morning they would complete their training and begin the stage of seriousness, and they would move all the grain in front of their houses and build a trench. They go around their fields and then they bring out all the weapons they have, and we know that the weapons that the team that was there before left them in the village, and they also have all the hunting rifles and knives that are in the village, and they teach Titus how to hold weapons and fire well, while the rest hold knives and hit them, and you learn poison very quickly. She remains professional as well. She follows everything that happens and stays with them step by step. She and a few of them go and withdraw the ship that was thrown in the desert and try to repair it so that they can benefit from it. In the end, he is able to operate it and it flies very well. The night comes when the forces are supposed to come, after which they all sit together and he asks them. Titus, everyone tells the reason for hating the Empire so that they can feel each other more and maintain a strong bond between them. Titus is the first one to speak and tells that he was a commander in the Empire's army and he always goes out on major missions. One day, a colony repeats that it is rebellious and announces its separation from the Empire, and of course, Belarus. He does not agree with this nonsense if it is happening, and Tito sends this and leaves this colony. But as soon as Titus arrives, he refuses to carry out the order and does not accept that he hates the people of the colony, and his team sings his words while they stand together in the face of the Empire, and unfortunately they all cling to each other, and because of what happened, he exposes Titus. The Empire must surrender himself in exchange for them leaving all his men and liberating them, but no one agrees to this, and they send his entire team away. Since then, he feels guilty and wants to take revenge on his colleague in any way. At that time, she starts to tell her story and tells him that her story is close to him, but the difference is people refused to fight, and the soldiers gave up all their grain and abandoned everything and their land. In the end, the soldiers arrested them and distributed them to many colonies so that they could work in them. Melas works in mining, and one day the resistance forces arrive and kill all the Empire soldiers who were present in the place and move all of them, the existing slaves, and Melas joined them and worked with them and decided to belong to the Empire and take the rights of its people and its people. Nemes tells her story and says that she was living in a small fishing village on the day the soldiers attacked them and killed everyone who was present and burned the entire village. Nemes sees her people dying before her eyes, and goes and looks for. The weapons were for her sake, and she was thinking of a plan to take her family's battery. She used molten metal blades and made herself an iron shield to stay stronger. She decided to fight, and T's turn came, and he told them that he was always accustomed to a quiet life of all luxury, because he was a prince and a pope was the king, and everything was going well. Until one day, they attacked a colony, destroyed it all, and demolished his palace, and his mother then decided to commit suicide because she could not bear to live in ruins, and he stood and watched her commit suicide, and he was unable to do anything to her. Soon approached after her and was used to preserve the royal dynasty, and he joined them to choose from. The empire is finished, and all that remains is a ball. She prefers the truth and tells them that she was a very ordinary girl, and they all died in the war, and she became an orphan. But Titus does not believe this nonsense and feels that she is hiding something. However, the next morning, she rides a ship's ball and flies to the mountains, and then passes a huge waterfall and enters a cave. She meets Jimmy and talks to him because they know each other well and used to work together in the Empire, and she convinces him to cooperate with them and protect people from the Empire. But Jimmy sees that he or they both have very little chance of succeeding in this battle, and that they are much weaker than the soldiers, and at this time a teacher is burying people. The village has some bombs on the ground, and suddenly enemy ships arrive, and everyone runs to stand in their designated place and sees the soldiers what is happening below, and they try to get there without destroying the fields because they depend on them. But they notice that the children and women are all hidden, and that they are hiding in the houses and a bakery. Atako says that he is playing with them and doing himself, that he wants to negotiate and reach a peaceful solution, and he chooses a ball to talk to them, and he and the soldiers go down to the teacher of the colony, and he stands in front of the ball and offers to take the grains from them, and in return, none of the soldiers will harm any of the villagers, and they will walk in peace, and so on. They are all going to save their lives, and suddenly his men attack the house, hiding in the children and women. He threatens Korra that they will set fire to them and kill them all. He asks Korra to come to him if she wants to save their lives and save them. Korra looks at her friends like this, and she comes early and walks with him, and she will kill Janner before she walks. But then Janner steals her gun. He shoots with fire to protect it. And then the battle begins, and the villagers and the warriors leave, thinking of an enemy ship, and all the soldiers are hiding, and they try to confront what is happening. He goes to a water park and goes out of it and escapes on horseback, and this is part of the plan. With him, all the people of the village attack the soldiers, and he kills a large number of them and takes a lot of tacos. He enters the women and kills anyone in his path. And a soldier tries to escape quickly because he is afraid of death, and before he moves on the ship, they blow up the people of the village, and the remaining soldiers enter the big house with poison and weapons on them, and they hit him with the rifles they have with him, and he is destroyed, and a mongoose comes and uses all her strength and kills a lot alone. From the enemies, Atako feels that he will not be able to defeat them and that he might die. In this way, he leaves the place where he hid and quickly reaches the ship in front of him. He runs away repeatedly, but one of the villagers catches up and enters after him. He continues to hit him with all his might and tries to kill him with the knife he has, but Atako continues. The last moment is the best day of his strength. He hits the man and finishes him off in a matter of seconds. Leaves the ship and moves to walk. Janner and Korra are able to board his ship before he walks and use a gas bomb to disturb the atmosphere. None of the ships around them see them and finish them off and allow the ship to continue with them normally and hide. Two of them go inside, and I pretend that they are unconscious and go to the medical clinic. We return to the village, and Titus tries to gather those who are alive and persuade them to continue the war, and none of them surrender. In fact, they go out to the soldiers who are coming at them with full force and fight second to none, and each one uses the skills that I learned from them, the warriors. Unfortunately, the number of jinn increases every little bit and more, and the people of the village do not know how to control them. Nimes tries to fight like this with her iron hands, and she hits many soldiers with it, but they break them in the end. Also, Poison overcomes and falls to the ground and will be saved. She will die, but Arrows saves her at the last moment, and none of them agree. He surrenders and continues. In the war, many people die on both sides, and she gets up like this and fights with one hand, but she cannot hold the pen. Someone comes and hits her with a knife, and she falls to the ground in pain. One of the children comes out and is very sad for her because he loves her and is attached to her. Baker takes revenge for her death, and he attacks the soldier who hit her, but the soldier hits him and tries. He kills him, and in return she kills the soldier to protect the child, and then brings the boy back and thanks him for what he did for her, meaning she dies, and many of her colleagues die after that, and one of the villagers activates the bombs so that the largest number of soldiers die and are saved from them, but the number of soldiers increases. Teacher, and every time they come, they need a greater number. They will not finish, and no one can control the situation. He feels that the matter has gotten out of control, and has become very difficult. The soldiers bring planes into it and start fire on the entire village. Anyone who stands in front of them dies, and she kills a group of soldiers with her knife. She kills anyone she meets on her way. She grabs a weapon and strikes. Oh, their weak points, and some of the villagers reach the main ship and kill the soldiers. And Janir and Co take advantage of the opportunity, and so they grab their weapons and kill everyone present and leave each other behind, and each one of them walks in one direction and places bombs in different places. They are able to walk among the soldiers because they are wearing their uniforms exactly, and no one takes them. Thinks about them, and suddenly one of them sees an energy ball in the room that quickly shoots with fire and kills him. It then descends to the second floor and kills all the soldiers present and anyone who tries to stop it. At this time, Atticus knows what is happening and is happy because finally a ball is with him on the ship, and he feels that this is his best chance to dash it. He arrests her, and at that time his men realize that they are destroying the entire village and destroying the fields. Because he no longer needs them anymore. He cannot hold a ball, and he also does not care about the soldiers who will die in the village, and Baker does anything to get rid of the mother of this village and what is in it, and the soldiers spend a very long time, and Jimmy appears at this time. He moves very quickly and hits a large number of soldiers with his strength. He reaches their god and enters it, and Biff drags it all. We return back to the ship, and they start a ball so that they can escape together, but the ball keeps continuing and repeats itself. It does not go down until you get rid of them and steal a sword and reach it, and at the same time a teacher. His men are preparing with their cannons to destroy the entire village, but the bombs explode and tear the entire ship, and the cannons stop, and fire comes in the desert instead of the village, and the ship begins to crash to the ground, and this is how Janir comes, and he attacks them, but one of the soldiers hits him with fire, and they start facing a ball with tacos, and they hit each other with swords, and he falls into each other. A place in the room, due to gravity, and Tacos is about to fall off the ship, but he saves himself in the end with them on another ball, and tries to kill it, and thus drops their swords and fights with each other, and throws Tacos a ball on the ground, and fights with his sword, and carries a ball, and a ball gets locked in the room and closes the door on his body because he can't move until his head is cut off, and she and Janir escape from the ship at the right time. She lands from the ship right after that, and Janir goes down with the ball and continues to bleed a lot. She tries to help him, but unfortunately, my friend, she can't. He sells her and he dies soon after, and she reaches the resistance ships right after that and helps him. All the people of the village are like this, and the battle is between them until the end, and the day ends like this and ends. Well, and all the people of the village stand up at night and bid farewell to all their friends who died in the war and are buried. While they are buried, she throws a ball at her lover and repeatedly tells her story and tells the truth, and Titus is with me because he tells her that the princess is still alive and that she did not die. Today is because she has supernatural abilities and strength that is not normal, and a repeat of events is that she goes and turns around and continues the war on the Empire, and all the warriors are added to her, and it turns out that they liberate all the other planets, and Jimmy also goes with them and ends up in the mana like that, and I will see you